Woohoo! That sure was a good map. Look at all this loot. We had so much fun just absolutely blowing up a ton of monsters, just punching them all in the face. Oh man, that's so good. I can't wait to just take all this loot, go home, fill up my stash, and be super rich. Hold on a minute. What is that? As fun as it would be to take all this small loot here, I gotta go for it. I gotta go for it. Ah! Hello friends, how's it going? What are you up to today? You having fun playing Path of Exile or whatever you're playing? I just wanted to take a few minutes of your time today and talk a little bit about stepping back and thinking about what is actually fun, what you're doing in the game, and making sure that you're not stressed out and worrying about like all of this money-making profit stuff. And I just wanted to bring a perspective of thinking in a balanced way about the currency that you're making in the game versus the fun that you're having, and making sure that you are not stressed out about always making currency and all that money-making hullabaloo, and focus on that whatever is the most fun for you in the game. I think that that is something that no one really talks about. It's all about profit, 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 or hey, this build does giga DPS. But this is just a video game. It's light and sound entering your skull, your brain's reacting to it, and you're hopefully getting some dopamine. And I think it's really, really easy to just get caught up in this discourse and this obsession, especially in an economy-based game, of doing the most optimal thing. And then you just sit there grinding for 10 hours, you get your headhunter, and then you're just sad because you didn't even really want a headhunter in your build. You just wanted to kill bosses, and the headhunter doesn't even work for it. And then you just quit the game and you're burnt out. And I see people do this all the time, and I want to make sure that you kind of take a step back. I want to show you what I've done in the past couple days to kind of balance my strategy so I'm making good currency. I just want to show that you can elk and go, make good currency, set up a nice strategy, ignore the absolute giga perfect currency making stuff. If you want to get super rich, absolutely do it, but it is not necessary to still make dozens of exalts every single league. Put together a build that does what you want to do, kill monsters, kill bosses, upgrade your build if you want to, and just have a good time. So let me just show you guys what my strategy is, how I've adopted those like giga optimal juicing strategies to something that is very balanced and very fun, at least for me, does what I want to do, and maybe gives you a little food for thought to sit back and just ask yourself, am I having fun doing this? And if the answer is no, rethink what you're doing. So anyway, let's show my Atlas tree. All right, so if you saw my video from a couple days ago, you know that I was getting into running those Giga Juice things, Delirium, Beyond, Abyss, Elva, all that type of stuff, pushing 12, 13, 14 Delirium rewards, and making pretty good currency. But honestly, for the amount of stress, the amount of setup, I don't think it's worth it. I actually think so many people are running those Giga Juice things. We know simulacrums are down like 50 to 60 chaos. I know a little bit more because of potential price fixing. Even while I was making decent currency, I actually didn't feel like I was making as much for the amount of stress. And I think that that's the thing that I want to stress talking about here, is finding that right balance of the profitability versus the time and the effort and all that. You know, I have that soul of wanting to do like the Power Dad gaming, right? Where you sit down, you crack your beer, you turn on Netflix, and ideally for me, it's always just elk and go. I just want to chisel, elk, maybe toss a few scarabs in, go, and then I can just put everything in a dump tab. At the end of the night, I can boot up Excellence. I can find the things that are worth some currency, put them in my sale tab, and that will just turn into currency very, very reliably. You know, every single week, there's these profit-making, currency-making videos that always come out. First of all, really by the time that video comes out, you know, especially since they are more popular, everyone's going to be hopping on it. The supply goes up, the demand stays the same or even goes down with the supply as it gets consumed. Do be aware that, you know, everyone that hops on that popular stuff, maybe look into something else if you're trying to really optimize your profit. What I like to do, however, is I generally just ignore all that type of stuff. I find ways such that when I am elking and going, I am just generating, you know, 20, 30, 50, 70 chaos an hour on average from very consistent drops. And that's exactly what I did here. So if you saw my previous video about doing like that more optimized strategy with the Beyond and the Delirium, that after a couple days of that, I just felt kind of tired and worn out with all the gray and like losing 30 FPS just going into the map. And the grabby hands, oh my God, I hate the grabby hands. I was absolutely over it, and I just got out of Delirium. I was like, I don't care if it's gonna average me like 50 chaos an hour more. It was a pain in the butt, and it was just not fun, and I just don't care. I kind of, you know, sorry. Sorry, I'm a bit of a Delirium hater. I find it's basically the definition of not that fun in the game. And so I unspec'd it, but I did keep Beyond. Because my build is so good at popping the entire screen with a bunch of monsters, and because I do % life damage on those monsters with Infernal Blow, Beyond's actually not that bad. So I kept Beyond, but it's not necessary for what my strategy is here. Just the combination of Beyond and Harbinger, for my build at least, generates good currency. And so I keep that, but just always reflect like, hey, I'm doing this thing. People tell me to do this thing, but do I like doing this thing? So after removing all of those delirium points, I had quite a few points left over to play around with. And what I like to do is I ask myself, what am I doing that everyone else is doing? Then that will often give me inspiration for how I can pop into something else. The big one here was Eater of Worlds. Many folks are doing Eater of Worlds because the monsters are, in my opinion, easier to fight. And the big one here is because of Shadow of Hunger, you get a ton of altars. I had 9 altars, I think, in one of my maps. And because of that, if you're doing full juice with the delirium and all that type of stuff, it's really good for just pure juicing your map. But because everyone's doing it, the invitations aren't selling for very much. If you do the boss fights, the Forbidden Flesh jewels are selling for way less than the Forbidden Flame jewels. And so I just asked myself, what about the other guy? How's this guy doing? So Searing Exarch is not as good. There's that Burning Tower, which is a little rippy, but my character is good enough now that it doesn't affect me too much. You don't get as many altars, but the key here is Baptized by Fire. Every 28 maps, we're gonna generate one of those invitations. If we reduce that by 10%, this brings it down to every 25.5 maps. And if we're able to run 12.75 maps an hour or so, we're able to generate one of those invitations that are currently selling for 100 chaos each. This is a passive money-making strategy where I can average 50 chaos an hour just by Elk and Go mapping. Not to mention that if I do choose to engage in that content, I can run the boss fight. And if I get that really good Forbidden Flame Jewel, that could be 50 exalts right on the top right there. And I like doing the boss fights. And so this is kind of what I'm looking to do. Even if I don't do the boss fight, I can sell off that invitation, average, 40 to 50 chaos an hour, depending on my mapping speed. Yeah, just passive income on top of everything else that I'm doing. And then you may have noticed that I still have these nodes. And you're asking yourself, well, I thought you said you didn't like doing those boss fights, and why do you still have those? Well, these maps just sell for consistent currency. Huge currency, no, but consistent. Every Guardian map will sell for between 10 and 15 chaos. If you sell them in bulk on something like TFT, you can command an even higher price. And then the Conqueror maps right here, these are still selling for 25 to 35 chaos, depending on if it's like Drox or Baron. Even if you're still just getting a few an hour, this can add up very easily to be 30 to 50 chaos an hour, if not more, if you're able to run those maps really quickly. And so what I did is I actually went back into Cemetery, although I am considering doing something like Mesa and just doing a pure boss rush like Mesa. If I can run a map in about 3 minutes or so, and then like with some setup time and all that between, if I can run about 13 maps an hour, I'm generating roughly 100 chaos just from those sets of points passively as I'm running my maps. So 100 chaos baseline from those strategies. And then on top of that, everything else is just generating into even more and more currency. After flip-flopping a lot this league, with this new passive tree, I wanted to try out absolutely everything that kind of popped in my mind. Now, I haven't done everything on the tree so far, but not particularly interested in going too hard in a lot of these things. I've kind of settled into what I'm very happy doing. And now this may change. I have, I am known to eat some orbs of regret and unmaking and always try out something new. But I've finally, after trying a whole bunch of things, this is something I feel like I can kind of settle down into. It's like a comfy lazy boy. It's that, 8-year-old t-shirt that's like really soft and you really like this one. And you're just happy when you put it on. You can settle into the game. You can earn consistent good currency that helps you reach your goal. But you don't need to be obsessed with those like giga money making strategies. Like I really want to always emphasize, really most builds don't need more than 20 to 50 exalts. And if you just have these strategies set up so you're consistently making 3 to 6 exalts an hour, Elk and Go with low stress, at least for me, that's one of the most fun, consistently nice things to do in the game. And I just want to always bring that perspective back into focus and always try to dial us back from that like giga profitable stuff that is like not only more stressful and more effort. If you're going with the pack like that and you're just kind of following what everyone else is doing, kind of going to be fighting everyone in the market for that. I would always try to find like the actual leading indicators that are going beyond that and finding the next thing. If you want to make like the big money, or honestly, if you really want to make that big money, just learn how to craft. I think being overly obsessed with some of these like really stressful and annoying strategies, you're going to make like 1 or 2 mirrors, but the crafters are making like 30, 40, 50 anyway. Maybe it'd be time to kind of sit down and learn that stuff, which I have a little bit of a video if you're interested in getting into it from the ground level and getting a full walkthrough. All right, we're trying to strike a real nice balance of everything that's like fun and profitable, and hopefully this helps you think about the way that you play the game and stay balanced and have a good time. So anyway, today I'm gonna get on the stream. Also, special bonus, if you're interested in Elden Ring, I am gonna be playing that after a couple hours of PoE. I am really, really excited about it, so stay tuned for that. And also get subscribed if you wanna see some fun Elden Ring content that's maybe a little bit different and tries to take this approach to a game like that. Anyway, hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye!